You are not paying $200 a month for the model. You are paying for the harness around it. And here is the uncomfortable part. 80% of that harness is invisible to most people who use it every day. They open Claude Code or Codex. They paste a prompt. They wait for an answer and they call it a workflow. That is not a workflow. That is a chatbot with a fancier wrapper. In the next 14 minutes, I will walk you through the 9 layers that actually make a harness work. And for every single layer, I will give you one ritual you can apply tomorrow morning. Stick around to the end, and I will give you the full playbook as a free download. Let us get the definition out of the way fast. A model is a brain in a jar. It is brilliant, but it cannot do anything until you give it a body. A way to read, a way to write, a way to remember, a way to know when to stop. That body is the harness. Frameworks like LangChain or AutoGen are libraries you wire together yourself. Harnesses like Claude Code, Codex CLI, and Cursor come with the wiring done. They give you a loop, a tool registry, a memory, and a permission system all in one. Every one of these harnesses, no matter the brand, has the same 9 layers underneath. Once you know those layers, you can squeeze far more value out of whichever one you are paying for. The first layer is the one that separates real agentic work from chat. It is the loop. The harness does not just answer your question once, it runs in a cycle. It acts, it observes its own output, it reflects, and it tries again until it hits the goal. The shift you need to make is this: stop writing prompts. Start writing goals with acceptance criteria. The difference is huge. If you say add OAuth login, the agent will guess what done looks like. If you say add OAuth login, and it is done when I can sign in with Google, when the session persists across restarts, and when the existing tests still pass, the loop now has something to converge toward. That is the daily ritual. Every time you open a session, lead with the goal and the finish line. The loop will do the rest. The second layer is the one most people abuse without realizing it: context. Your conversation window is not a bucket you fill up, it is a battery, and every paragraph you stuff into it drains the model's ability to focus. 3 habits will save you here. First, hit clear when you switch tasks. A new task deserves a fresh window. Second, hit compact in the middle of a long task when you notice the model starting to forget what you said an hour ago. Compaction is the harness summarizing the conversation so far and dropping the noise. Third, on long projects, just start a new session every 60 to 90 minutes. Memory and project files carry the important stuff forward. The rule of thumb is simple. If you have scrolled past 20 messages, the model is already losing the early ones. Compact or clear or restart. Layer 3 is where the harness starts feeling personal. Most people confuse tools and skills, so let us draw the line. A tool is a verb that the harness ships with. Read a file, write a file, run a shell command. A skill is a recipe you teach the harness once and reuse forever. A security review, a code review, an init flow, a release checklist. Skills are how you stop repeating yourself. The daily ritual is to add one new skill to your harness every week. The candidates are easy to spot. Anything you find yourself re-explaining to the agent for the third time deserves to become a skill. Open the skills folder, write a short markdown file with a name, a description, and the steps. And from then on, you can invoke it by name. Your harness becomes more yours every week. Layer 4 is delegation. Your main session is a meeting room with one whiteboard. Every time you ask the agent to go research something deep, You are scribbling notes nobody needs to see later, all over that whiteboard. The fix is subagents. Think of them as colleagues you can send out of the room with a clear brief. There are three archetypes worth knowing: an exploration subagent for finding where something lives in a code base, a planning subagent for thinking through a design before you write code, and a general purpose subagent for self contained tasks where you want a clean slate. The trade off is that a subagent cannot see your conversation, so brief it like a smart person who just walked into the room. Give it the goal, the context, and what you have already ruled out. Done right, your main loop stays small and focused, and the noisy work happens elsewhere. Layer 5 is about reaching for the right built in tool. Every harness ships with a small set of primitives, and most people only use one or two of them. The four worth memorizing are read, grep, WebFetch, and agent. Read is for when you already know the file path. Grep is for when you know a symbol or a string and need to find it. WebFetch is for a known URL. Agent is for open-ended search across many files. The anti-pattern is opening a shell and running cat, head, tail, or seed every single time. That burns tokens, leaks output into the context, and skips the structure tool that would have done it faster. The ritual is to pause for 1 second before every action and ask which primitive fits. Over a week, the savings in tokens and time are real. Layer 6 is the one that makes your harness feel smarter every month instead of starting from zero every Monday. Memory. The mistake people make is treating memory like history. They save everything. Real memory is the opposite. It is the small set of facts you want to survive into next week. Who you are, what your role is, what decisions the project has already made, and what feedback the agent has been corrected on. What does not belong in memory is anything the code can already tell you. Do not save file paths. Do not save Git history. Do not save what you are working on right now. That is what a plan is for. The daily ritual is a 30-second hygiene check at the end of a session. Was anything surprising said today that is worth remembering? If yes, save it. If not, let the session go. Layer 7 is your system prompt, but not the way most people think about it. Your system prompt is not one big block of text. It is layered. The harness assembles it on the fly from several files. There is a project level file, usually called Claude.md or AGENTS.md, that lives in the repo and describes how this codebase works. There is a user level file in your home directory that describes how you work, regardless of project. And there are ephemeral instructions you give in the moment. The ritual is to keep these layers separate. If a rule applies to every project, for example, you always want concise answers, it belongs at the user level. If a rule is project specific, for example, this repo uses PNPM and not NPM, it belongs in the project file. Mixing them is the root cause of agents that suddenly forget your style or run the wrong package manager. Layer 8 is where the harness stops being a tool and starts being an automation platform. Hooks. A hook is a small script that fires automatically before or after the agent uses a tool. You do not have to remind the agent to do the right thing. The harness enforces it. 3 hooks pay for themselves immediately. The first one runs your code formatter every time the agent edits or writes a file, so your diff stays clean. The second one scans every shell command before it runs and blocks anything that touches secrets or destructive flags. The third one fires a desktop notification when the agent stops, so you can step away from the screen during a long render or test run and come back when it is actually done. These 3 hooks together turn a chatty assistant into a disciplined teammate. The last layer is the one that decides whether your harness is annoying, dangerous, or actually useful. Permissions. Default deny means you approve every single command and you start to ignore the prompts out of frustration. Default allow means one bad day with a confused agent and you have a deleted folder or a force pushed branch. The middle is a tuned allow list. The ritual is weekly. There is a routine called fewer permission prompts that scans your recent session, finds the read only commands you have approved over and over, and proposes a safe addition to your settings file. Run it once a week. The rule of thumb is if you have approved the same command 3 times in 7 days, it belongs on the allow list. Anything destructive, removing files, force pushing, dropping a database, never goes on the allow list. Those always require a human eye. That is the full stack: loop, context, tools, subagents, built ins, memory, prompt assembly, hooks, permissions. 9 layers, every harness, every brand. Here is the Monday morning ritual that ties it together. Pick one rule to add to your project file. Pick one skill to register. Pick one hook to install. That is 5 minutes of work, and it compounds every single week. 3 months from now, your harness will feel like it was custom built for you because it was. By you. If you want the full playbook with the project file template, the 3 hook snippets, the settings file starter, and a 1 page checklist you can print and pin to your desk, drop the word Harness Pro in the comments below, and I will send you the PDF for free. See you in the next one.